A few scenes from the parade here today, earlier in Enniskillen. It's a great pleasure to be here with Arlene Foster. Let me see if I get this right. Dame Commander of the Queen's Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. There are dames all over the Commonwealth, but Arlene is one of the few who'll be able to say that she became a dame in the Platinum Jubilee honours, which is a particular honour, I think, Arlene.
Absolutely. It was an honour to start with, but to get it during the Platinum Jubilee was absolutely marvellous.
Well, you certainly deserve it. Now, Enniskillen is your hometown. How do you feel on this Orangeman's Day 2022?
Well, it's just wonderful to have the full parade back again because, of course, during COVID, the first one was at home. There was no parades at all. Last year, it was close to home, so there were a lot of little parades last year, mostly in district orange parades. But this year, we're back to our full, as we call them, demonstrations. So here in County Fermanagh, we all come together at a big parade, and it's been a wonderful occasion.
And the thing that's different about the Fermanagh parade is you have these fellas from south of the border, from Cavan and Monaghan. Run into a couple from Donegal. And it's always quite poignant because they're the remnants of southern Protestantism in a way, and you can see little semi-abandoned orange lodges all over the south. It's a big day for them to get to come here and celebrate a kind of all but extinguished tradition down south.
Well, you know, I was at their 12th of July, which they hold the Saturday before the 12th on Saturday in Rasnowlan, County Donegal, and it's always a lovely day. A lot of Fermanagh brethren would go over for that parade, so then they come back to our big parade here on the actual 12th, and they always get a very warm welcome when they do that. And actually, the Orange fraternity in Donegal and Monaghan, Leitrim, Cavan, they're still quite strong, and they have, some of them have some really good junior lodges as well, so that's really good to see, I think.
Yeah, maybe I'm being a bit too pessimistic because I'm thinking of the deep south where you'll come to a village with an abandoned building and you think, oh, that's an Orange Lodge, but it's actually quite strong as you head up towards the border. Yeah,
it's strong on both sides of the border, if I can say that. And Dublin used to have quite a few orange lodges. There's still one or two still there, but certainly in, as you call it, the deep south, there wouldn't be too many orange men about nowadays.
And what do you think? I always, worry about that because those were guys who 100 years ago, I'm sure, never thought that an entire tradition would just vanish from a lot of those towns and villages. How do you feel about the state of unionism in Northern Ireland in 2022?
Well, of course, at the time of partition, when the island was split in two, there were about 10% of the population in the Republic of Ireland were Protestant, and that fell dramatically then after partition, and a lot of people felt that they weren't welcome in the new Republic of Ireland, and they came north to Northern Ireland, and there are a lot of families that did that who live there, if you like, people who came here to Northern Ireland, they now have their sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters living here now, and they're very proud British citizens, so it's wonderful to see them here. So look, this is very much a part of being a British citizen in Northern Ireland. We celebrate the glorious revolution of 1688, we celebrate the Battle of the Boyne, but more than that, it's now relevant now. What is the Orange Institution doing for young people now? And it's about culture, tradition, heritage, but also about helping them to get on in life, and I think that's a very important part of what the institution does now.
Now, Enniskillen is your hometown, so you've known this, and you've known a lot of the people here all your life.
Yes, I have.
And are you still rooted here?
Yes, I still live not too far away from Enniskillen. It's very much a part of who I am. I'm a rural unionist, always have been and always will be. And Carson, that great man of the time, used to say that if the union is to mean anything, the whole of the United Kingdom has to benefit from being part of the United Kingdom. And I feel that very strongly, being here in the most westerly part of the United Kingdom, here in Enniskillen.
No, and that's what's so amazing. The Irish state is reduced to, I think, about 3 miles wide when you go just west of here. It's at its kind of narrowest point. But I wondered, Arlene, what are your feelings growing up in the time you did? They're tinged with, they must have mixed feelings because you yourself were part of the terrible random atrocities that befell people here. When you were a comparatively little girl, you were involved in, things that seem quite incredible. A school bus gets targeted just because the driver was perceived to be a member of the UDF.
The UDR, the Ulster Defence Regiment, which was a part-time British regiment at that time. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, look, I used to live very close to the border. My father was a part-time farmer and a full-time member of the police service, and he was targeted. They came to our home when I was only 8.5 to kill him. He survived, but as a result of that, I had to move home and move more inwards in County Fermanagh. So, look, it was a very traumatic time, and we are always very thankful that those days are behind us. But it was a very brutal time, and here in County Fermanagh, and indeed in County Armagh, where I was this morning, Mark, we always remember those people who lost their lives to the terrorist campaigns of the 70s, 80s and 90s, because in County Armagh, for example, they lost 67 people to the IRA. And it's always important. There's always a memorial service. There was a memorial service here this morning, and indeed there was one in Armagh as well, to remember those people and the service they give just to be British.
How do you feel then about part of the so-called reconciliation, which is a bill that's currently before Parliament, in which a terrorist who accidentally blows himself up while he's trying to kill a bunch of school children is now designated under this new bill as a kind of victim himself?
Well, it's always been a difficulty. The definition of a victim has always been a problem, because to me, if you are a victim of your own hand, in other words, you're going out to murder somebody, you're going out to kill somebody, then you should not be treated as a victim, because you are going out to take life. And I think that definition very much needs to be dealt with, so that innocent victims are able to gain justice, truth, and indeed reconciliation. I mean, we all want to have reconciliation with our neighbours and friends, but that cannot be at the price of justice or indeed of truth as well.
No, I think the truth part is very important. Is it more relaxed now? I mean, here we are on Orangeman's Day. I have friends down south who say that there are always a certain proportion of Northern Catholics who just kind of want to get out for the whole period of orange fever, and that's been around for a while. But then I noticed just up the hill there's a bunch of guys getting drunk in the pub and jeering at you. And is that the extent of radical republicanism these days? They're happy to yell at you from the pub? Because that would be a great, if that's the extent of it, that's a huge improvement, yeah.
Well, exactly. I mean, look, there'll always be people who want to demonise, who don't want to try and understand the importance of this day to those of us who are from the orange culture. But, you know, I've been saying recently it's important that we try and understand each other's culture, not to stop them, not to cancel them out, but to try and understand why it's important to me that we have this day, and on a similar vein, why it's important to people from the nationalist tradition to enjoy their Gaelic athletic sports, why it's important that they have all of that, and we shouldn't try and intervene with that. We should try to live and let live, Mark, and there's space for everybody. We don't live very closely together, you know. I mean, there is space for all of us to have our own culture and to have our own identity, and I think it's important that we do have that, because the worst thing of all that could happen is that we live a vanilla life and we're all neutralised into not having any sort of identity. It's important for me to have an orange identity, to have a British identity, and for many nationalists and Catholics it's important for them to have an Irish Gaelic identity.
No, and that's absolutely critical. And just to go back to that point you made, Edward Carson's point about unionism has to be to the benefit of all the people. What do you think people, Scots, English, Welsh, think of the State of the Union these days?
Well, of course, the Union's under threat in Scotland. For many years, I have been told, as long as I've been alive, I've been told that the Union's under threat here in Northern Ireland. Nationalists and Republicans are very good at spinning their story, but actually the majority of people, I believe, in Northern Ireland very fundamentally, and indeed in Scotland, value the Union and everything that it does for them in their day-to-day lives, whether it's COVID vaccinations, whether it's the war war in Ukraine, taking leadership, and I think that we have done that in Ukraine. Our welfare system, our education system, all of those things come from being part of the United Kingdom, and I think most people, when they look at the relevance of the Union today, will know that it's as relevant today as it was back at the time of the Acts of Union.
Well, some of us wish Her Majesty's government was as concerned about the borders of the United Kingdom as it is about the borders of Ukraine, but that's maybe that's maybe an argument for another day. Arlene, you were commenting earlier today that you love the accordion music. Everyone thinks of orange marches with the pipes, but you like the accordion because you played the accordion.
The lovely thing about a rural 12th, like we've seen in Armagh today, and like we're seeing here in Enniskillen, is that you get accordion band, you get flute band, you get silver band, you get pipe bands. I grew up in the accordion tradition. I was a member of Rusley accordion band, and so I always have a little bias towards them, but I enjoy all the other bands as well.
Do you still play the accordion?
No, I haven't played the accordion for quite a while, but I'm sure if I was to receive one, I might give it a go. Okay,
we're going to hold you to that, and we're going to make you play an accordion number on the GB News Christmas show. Arlene Foster, thank you very much, and congratulations on the damehood. Honestly, it couldn't be more deserved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene.
Thanks.